to mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
For the first time in 2026, hello all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam, and I'm joined, as always, by Dan from Bleading Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
How do you do? Mr. Carl Lemley feels it would be a little unkind to present this picture without just a word of friendly warning. We're about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. I think it may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to. Well, we've warned you. Yeah!
Hi! What an entrance!
Boom! 2026. Have that.
Have that, 2026. Yeah.
That wasn't as eloquent as that, was it? Have that. It's not as
Have
eloquent
it.
as that little speech.
Have it. No, I don't think I've ever heard you speak like that before. We're back!
Bonjour.
Season 4?
5.
But it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
I'm sure it's 4 or 5.
It's 4.
One of them.
4.
All blends into one. We've been
Season
in nearly
4.
3 years now.
But we're back for 2026. We're not waiting around like what we did last time, waiting for a film to come out.
Nosferatu. No.
Nosfer, not want to see that again. Oh my god, we put all that out the last time. We really like that film. It's just... Hey, we're back. So, as Dan elegantly put earlier, we are doing Frankenstein.
But not that one.
Not that one.
The other one.
We've already done that one.
But the other one.
The other one. The one from 1931. The one we have been putting off for nearly 3 years.
We bit the bullet and we were waiting patiently, but we thought, we don't want to push, so we're just going to crack on with it.
We're going to crack on with it. Because if anyone had noticed, in our first season, we covered the majority of Universal monsters, apart from Frankenstein.
Correct. And
we now feel like we need to give our logo's namesake a turn.
Which is
I don't know where I was going with that. So, I'll do the disclaimer, and then we're going to crack on open a Frankenstein. Sure. Everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone, and if you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our socials, or you can join us in the comments section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in horror. So, let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of the nerdism.
As I stated so eloquently yesterday, don't be a dick.
Nah, just don't do it.
Nay.
Don't do it. Right, sit back. This is a lengthy one. I should not sit back because I have got my legs crossed and I am going to go flying off this chair shortly.
I'm in a beanbag. I'm just going to disappear into the cupboard. It's fine,
You've done that before, haven't you?
I have done
Where
it.
you've literally sunk down.
Oh, I will buy myself a proper chair at some point, but because I sit so low to the floor, for anybody watching, I look like I'm in a chair. I'm not. I'm on a beanbag on the floor because the only place I've got to film is at the place I've got to put my computer is like a bookcase thing. Like when you see my full collection, which you haven't yet, but when you do, it will make complete sense to everybody that sees where I sit. So...
But do not try and sink into the floor today.
Not today.
Not today. Right. Frankenstein is a 1931 horror film directed by James Whale and produced by Carl Laemmle Jr. and makeup by legendary Jack Pierce. It is adapted from the 1927 play Frankenstein, An Adventure in the Macabre by Peggy Welby, which is in turn based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein, or the modern day Prometheus, starring Colin Clive, May Clark, Dwight Fry, and the one and only Boris Karloff. Do you dare see the man who made a monster? As Monsters Up North podcast finally brings you Frankenstein. Da, da, da. The tagline for that comes from an ad that was written in 1931, and it does say, "Dare you see," and then in capital letters, "the man who made a monster."
What I love is that this is classed as a horror movie, right?
But not technically a horror film.
No, because horror wasn't even a genre in 1931. It wasn't even made into a genre until 1934.
No,
So
they didn't know what they had.
No, so technically this is one of the revolutionary slash pioneering movies that horror became a thing from.
Yeah. I have another one of the ads.
Oh God, right, okay.
Oh my God, it tickled my funny bone. It's an ad. The Ludwig Morning Avalanche Place Theatre. It's in Texas, and it was released on the 9th of January 1932. And it says, "A friendly warning. If you have a weak heart and cannot stand intense excitement or even shock, we advise you not to see this production. If, on the contrary, if you like an unusual thrill, and you will find it in Frankenstein."
An unusual thrill.
An unusual thrill. I love, and I think I learned this when I did the Wizard of Oz for the Nerdy Up North podcast. I love the ads that came out in the 1930s. They were some tip-top advertisement for movies. They really put their heart and soul into selling it.
And they were all done with a very transatlantic voice. Everybody spoke like that, didn't they? Very short, very sharp.
Yeah, my mum was watching an oldie the other day, and somebody it was a Grace Kelly movie, and I'm going, "Hey, Mum, is she English?" And she went, "No, she's got that really weird transatlantic accent where you don't know if it's English and you don't know if it's American or not." And I went, "Oh, I know that accent."
Yeah, the majority of them were American, but they put the upper class transatlantic accent on because they were told they had to drop their accents from an eloquency point of view. And this is what makes me laugh, because America loved to claim Mr. Boris Karloff as one of theirs. And no, I'm sorry, he's ours.
It's one of us.
He's born and bred Mr. William Pratt.
Yes.
And he was born in London. And, you know, as someone who can safely say I was actually brought up in the same county as him, he was born in London, and his family, when his parents died, he moved to Middlesex, which is a non-existent county. In 1965, they abolished our county. It doesn't exist, but we've used it still forever. So he was brought up at Enfield, and then he moved to Canada in a random move once. He decided that all of his family were heavy into politics and government work, and his mum and his dad was something to do with the government and working in India, and both of his parents had Indian heritage.
You can
in
clearly
one way
see
or
that
another.
in him.
Yeah, but he was the darkest of all of his siblings, so they all looked very light-skinned, whereas Boris was dark. And so when he moved to Canada, he worked as a truck driver, he worked on the railroads, he did all these like real hard labor manual jobs, and he started an Amdram. He went to start doing Amdram when he was in his early 30s. And he settled in, now you have to bear with me because there's two places he settled in. He settled firstly in Saskatchewan, and then
Saskatchewan!
yeah, and then he moved to Saskatoon, right?
Saskatoon always reminds us of Grown Ups. I'm
Yeah,
from Saskatoon.
Saskatoon and Saskatchewan. Sorry.
Sorry, Canada.
Yeah, sorry. I won't blame you. That
No.
was me. He changed his name to Karloff after he'd done these, became an Amdram, not for any other reason that he was just worried he would humiliate his family and embarrass his family because
Oh my
they were
God.
such prominent names within the government, the British
Yeah.
government. He didn't want to embarrass them, so he changed his name to Karloff.
Oh my
And
goodness.
Boris from
Oh.
William. But he returned home in 1933, come back to England to visit his family, and he was shooting a film called The Ghoul, I think, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And in doing so, when he met his family, they were all like, "You're not an embarrassment. Why do you think you're an embarrassment?" And then they all had a photo taken, which was a huge thing back then, obviously 30s. And he paid for them all to have a copy of this photo. So now
Such
we
a
take
gentleman.
photos for granted, but that was incredibly expensive. So every sibling had a photo of the family together as they
Oh my
were.
God. He was such a gentleman.
He really was. And do you know what? People don't realise he was 44 when he was cast in Frankenstein. So he was a year younger than me. But at that point, he'd had 81 movies to
Did
his
around
resume.
He did around 200 movies in total from 1910 to 1970. Now, he died in 1969. The last one was,
Posthumous released, yeah.
I can't say that word.
But
Yeah.
yeah, 81 movies before he landed Frankenstein. 81. 81.
A
That's
lot
not
in the
including,
silent era.
yeah, that's not including theatre productions. That's not including um radio. His radio is just as big as his movies. The amount of like
Voice
voiceover
work he
stuff
did.
he did. But
He did the Grinch.
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. What made me laugh about this was when I was looking through this stuff was he had a chance meeting with Lon Chaney. I think it was Lon Chaney Senior. He was sitting at a bus stop getting piss wet through waiting for a bus, and Lon pulled up in his car. I was like, "Get in." So he gave him a ride, and he was like, "Oh, I feel like I'm a bit stuck. I'm going around in circles. Yeah, I'm being cast as an Indian guy in absolutely everything, or an Arabic guy." He said, I've got to do something. And Lon said to him, and apparently this is word for word, to find something, he told him to find something different that will set you apart and is different from anything someone else has ever done or is willing to do or do better, is what Lon Chaney told him. So he then looked at it and he was just like, do you know what? When he was asked, he wasn't offended too much when he was asked by James Whale to play, like if he wanted to come and screen test for it, because he said like I was in my suit and he saw a monster and I was very confused. And then he was like, well, when he got to know the character a bit more, he was like, I actually understand what he saw, with the presence and my height and everything. So
Everything. He was a long time heavy smoker. He had emphysema, which actually left him with one half of his lung gone, and then he died of bronchitis because he had severe bronchitis in 1968, which then ended up hospitalized him, and he died of pneumonia in 1969 at the age of 81. His body was cremated. He did not want a massive fancy funeral. It was burn me and do with it. Like, I'm done with it. He has a memorial plaque in a garden at St. Paul's Covent Garden.
Yeah, there's one in St. Paul's and there's one in Guildford.
In Guildford.
And
I think that's Guildford is where he was cremated.
Yeah, because he had like 3 or 4 homes across sort of the London area. Guildford is technically outside, just like Middlesex is, but parts of these places in like Surrey and Middlesex are classed as Greater London, so it gets muddy. But he had like lots of little homes, and the cottage was where he spent his last years, if I remember rightly, which was down towards Guildford, hence why.
That's where Grim Life have done a video there. There were the owners of the cottage were lovely enough to allow them to walk around and get footage of it because his garden was his pride and joy, and
There's
they
lots
got
of photos, isn't there, of him in his later years in his garden.
in his garden. It was his pride and joy. He is an absolute gentleman. This movie would be remiss if Bela Lugosi is not actually mentioned in this production. So in 1930, Universal lost 2.2 million in revenues within 48 hours at the opening of a new theatre, and they needed to make money back.
Mhm.
And they did that by doing Dracula in 1931.
Yeah.
Dracula made their money. It cemented them back where they needed to be. And this is where Carmel Lemley Jr. went to senior and said, we've got something here and we need to work on it. And immediately went into production of Frankenstein with the idea that Bela Lugosi was going to star in this movie. Now, I believe, if memory serves me right, when we did Dracula, we mentioned this. I have read a bit more about Bela's departure on Frankenstein because I think we said it was down to the makeup that he wouldn't do it.
We did, but also I know that he did film a test screen.
He did.
So
With
I
the
don't know
original director.
Yeah, which was, oh God, I did write that down. Robert Flory. Robert Flory.
That's the man. Yeah, so James Whale wasn't the initial director at all. Bela and him came as a partnership. Now, there is conversation where Bela has said, I am an actor. I am a theatre actor. And I am a thespian and I cannot portray silence with makeup. However, there is talk and discussion that might not have been the case.
No.
And it could have been a case that because, as we discussed in our episode with Dracula and Bela, the mistreatment that he got in Hollywood kind of goes with this as well, that it wasn't a case of he left the project, he got kicked out of the project.
I did see something, but again, how true this is, I
don't know. I had there's stories where Bela has said, I did not want to do this. I am not trained for this type of thing. And then there's others where he has been ceremoniously booted out of the door, along with the original director.
Yeah, one of them that I saw was that he, after the success or after Dracula, I mean, there isn't much of a gap between Dracula and Frankenstein. I think Dracula was the beginning of the year, Frankenstein was towards the end when they got released. Like, it was a very quick turnaround, but it was, once they'd done Dracula, I think he asked for a bit more money.
Oh, Bela.
Or there was something like that. Because if anybody has watched the Dracula episode, you'll know that he did this for peanuts.
Nothing.
And so he asked for a bit more money, and they were like, "You're not worth that. Get in the bin." No. And they binned him off for Boris because Boris had no main roles. He'd always either had villain or, henchman number 7, or he had speaking roles in movies, but they were nothing like top billing. And he didn't get that in this either, but
No, but that was the thought though. When Dracula finished, because of how successful it went, Bela should have had the next movie. That's how it worked back then. And for him not to was kind of like a bit of There's also the conversations that Bela and Jack Pierce didn't see eye to eye because with the makeup side of things, Bela didn't want to be in heavy makeup. Jack had this brilliant picture and an idea in his head of how he wanted to create the monster, and he actually had better conversations. He had an amazing relationship with Boris Karloff, which I think when we did our Jack Pierce episode, we talked on that one. They collaborated together in the creation of this monster, and that is something that Bela would never have done with them. So that is another reason to march it. He was not Boris was going to be the poster boy and especially how well Frankenstein goes on to do, he then ends up becoming the poster boy. Bela's like, we'll dish you a part out here and there. It isn't until I think we get to the Black Cat when Boris and Bela work together. Boris understands everything that Bela has been through, and especially financially. That's when he goes, he gets the same amount of money as me, or I ain't doing this. He actually stands up for him. And I do want to do the Black Cat at some point, because that does go more into the relationship between Boris and Bela, because there is that, and I think we've talked about this plenty of times, the
faux rivalry that everybody said,
that
they
did
were
not happen.
enemies, and they weren't.
No, I think we will do a series on that, because there's a few actors we could go back and forth on.
But the thing with this was there was a 20-minute test reel filmed with Bela Lugosi playing the monster, and it's been lost.
Yes, it's no longer.
They don't know whether it's rotted away in a cave somewhere or it's actually in the back of someone's collection and they don't know what they have.
That would be amazing if just at some point someone goes, "Oh shit, look what I found from my great-great-grandfather," and it's like, oh, that would be incredible. But the likelihood is it probably has been lost in time.
But there was a poster. Someone does have a copy of a poster. Now, this I've never seen, and I couldn't find it when I Googled either. I want to see this. Apparently, there was a poster where Lugosi is the monster, but he's 30 feet tall. Apparently, like they've made
like he's giant over the top of it.
You know, like oh God, you know the woman one. I've gone black. The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. You know that poster. It's kind of it's supposed to be very similar to that, but with the monster. And obviously, where at that point they hadn't fleshed out what he was going to look like because it was Robert and Bela, not Jack and Boris at that point. It was going to, you know, there was a guesswork on what the monster would look like. So I'm really intrigued to see that, but I don't know if they will ever release it.
Oh, I would love to see it. Well, Foley and Lugosi didn't come away without any work. They got Murders in the Rouge morgue in 1932 as a compromise, by a consultation for not doing Frankenstein. But to be honest, it's neither here nor there. He makes peanuts for it because people know that Lugosi will do something for next to nothing. But he does actually go on to play Frankenstein later on in Frankenstein Meets the Werewolf, nearly a decade later. But his career was already in decline then, so it was kind of looked at as in, haha, look at what Lugosi's doing now, kind of thing, which is quite sad. I do have some information on the makeup design that leads us into 2026.
Right.
So Boris's image, the one we use on our logo, is fair use.
Yes.
However, the makeup design for it is not.
No.
The makeup design by Jack Pierce is under copyright to Universal Pictures until January 1st, 2026.
Yep.
And is now licensed by Universal Studios license.
Yeah, so technically yesterday for us, but it will be a couple of days, 4 days ago for you guys when you do this. So
yeah, so that is as of a few days ago.
Yeah, so but I mean, I'd heard obviously if you've listened to our other the new Frankenstein, our very last episode with that one on, you'll know why they didn't use. It isn't just because of the licensing and the copyright. It was also because they wanted to stick more true to the book description of Frankenstein. Whilst it's not carbon copy, so don't come at me. I know
we discussed it.
He was described as having long black flowing hair and him being quite attractive by Shelley in the book. So that's kind of the look that they went with for Jacob Bellori. But for Boris, they wanted this shock factor. They wanted this heresy, blasphemy, shock thing to happen.
Scandalo.
Scandalo. So this film did so many things that we take for granted now when movies are trying to push narratives down your throat. So you hear it all the time from these, like, I don't know, I'm going to use them for examples, but I know they've done it, like Bloody Disgusting, Screen Rant,
Oh yeah.
you know, IGV, all those guys, they do this thing where they'll go, this is the scariest movie. People are passing out in the cinema. Oh, Netflix, people turn it off halfway through because it's too scary. All that shit. No, this movie did it without realizing what it was doing at the time.
Mhm.
It knew it would be a problem when they wrote in Henry, not Victor, as
Mhm.
having the God complex. And
Mm,
they knew it would be an issue, but I don't think they realized how much of an issue to
no.
the extent of where the Hayes board, I think they were called,
Yeah.
which is nothing to do with me, Mary. I'm not that prudish. They basically said they didn't like the fact that he had that line where he said about knows what it feels like to be God.
I've got a whole section on that.
Yeah, so I know that Kansas banned the film outright. They wouldn't play it in the state of Kansas whatsoever because it was blasphemy.
Blasphemous.
So what they did was there's a lightning now in the ones we see now, it's pared down, you hear it, it's not really anything that we would just go, all right. But in 1931, that was blasphemy. You know, the building could burn down and God would,
He,
you know, rip the roof off and go, I beg your pardon, in a Monty Python sketch kind of way. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It was very much like everybody thought that was going to happen. So there's something called the Castle Thunder. Yeah, now I don't know if that was named after William Castle or the fact that they always put
Oh,
that
I
thunder noise
hope
behind the
so.
castle.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in torn between the two because I couldn't find the origin. It's like the Wilhelm scream. It's somewhere. There's
I hear that everywhere now. I even heard it on Stranger Things.
so there's a story there which I didn't really get too much time to go into, but there's a loud thunderclap just as he screams about knowing how it feels like to be God, which is just after he's done the it's alive. Um,
In the name of God.
it's alive. Yeah, so it was the thunderclap was supposed to drown it out. So what they did was,
It's the word be. That's the problem. Not God itself.
yeah,
It's actually being God. That's the issue. And that's what they clapped out.
yeah, because he was an idolater, which meant he was bearing false idol because God is God and no one else can be God, basically.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a little bit of theology knowledge. I'm not proud of it. I was brainwashed as a child. Um, that's
They
another story for another day.
but they try to restore it. That's the problem.
Yes.
So the version we get now is we can hear it. Now I know what it's like to be God. However, it is very disjointed and it is very garbled, and it's
Mm.
because they can't physically remove fully that clapping noise.
Yeah, because they desperately tried when they took they basically went round because it had a re-release, and I don't know how many people know this. This movie had a re-release, so it was originally released at the end of the year, and then with the whole God thing, they went round. They took as many as they could of the copies, and they tried to alter that one scene through sound, through because back in the day, the sound was sometimes played separately to the
Mhm.
picture. Sometimes they were put together. I don't know where we were in the process of around then, but they tried to alter the soundtrack to cover it. So he still had his line. It's not like they
Yeah.
muted him because they couldn't do that.
No, no, they couldn't do that. It would have looked really, really odd.
So
But
they
it's very cut quickly.
yes, they whacked it up really, really high, and then you just see the two of them carry him off like he's a madman.
Yeah.
So
The thing is though, the audio that they've actually managed to do in modern day
yeah.
doesn't say the same line anymore.
What does it say now?
Now I know what it feels like to be gods.
Ah, okay. I didn't notice that when I watched it today.
Because it's not what we've got. I think the versions that we have
Yeah.
is the now I know what it feels like to be God.
Yeah, it was
But
very definitive, the one that I've got.
yeah. Oh God, yeah. I can it's one scene that if that could literally play back in my head. But yeah, when they've managed to clean it up with modern day technology, they found a take that they've managed to like a take that kind of that says that line that was never used because James Whale was never going to use it. James Whale knew what he was doing. They've managed to use that, so that's what it, I think is placed in some places. But And now that it means nothing now. Nobody would look at that line today and go, oh, shit.
Because idolatry is committed every day. Every time you look at a famous person or a pop star, you're committing idolatry in the eyes of God. You know, you're bearing false idol. You know, you're saying this person is really important, and more important than God in some cases. You know, if you believe, you know, or you don't believe. It's there's a whole long line you could go down, especially not wearing cotton on a Sunday. But you know,
Oh, well,
I did hear that
no,
James Whale and Boris didn't get on very well.
no. James Whale didn't get on with anyone. He was very he
He
was
had his own problems, did James, didn't he?
yeah. I'll talk about James in a second.
Right.
Because yeah, the James didn't get on with a lot of people, in all honesty. But I don't think he was literally Carl Emley Jr. wanted James Whale. But he was really famous for Western movies.
Yeah.
And he was given a list of 100 movies and when you can take your pick out any one of them, and instantly caught his eye was Frankenstein because he just wanted to step away from Westerns. He didn't know what he was stepping into because, as we said at the beginning, horror isn't recognized as it is later on.
Now, yeah.
Exactly. The person I want to talk about, because it falls lovely in line with what we've just been talking about, the electric, is a guy called Ken Strickfin.
Yes, Mr. Inventing person.
This man, my God, when I started reading about it, I was like, holy shit. So he created all the electrical gadgets and effects for the movie. He also doubled for Boris Karloff during the sequences that show the million-volt sparks that were coming out of his body. He also stood in for Karloff in The Mask of Fu Manchu in 1932 for the exact same reason. So anything to do with electricity, Ken was going to be there.
Yeah.
All the electric lab equipment appeared in the movie over the years. So Bride of Frankenstein, Undersea Kingdom,
Yeah.
Lake of Scotland Yard, they all had Ken's work in there. And when he was done, he would pack his shit up, he would take it home and just put it in his garage. And then, and it was kind of a lost kind of art. Until that guy, my favorite person in Hollywood, Mr. Mel Brooks, found the lab equipment and that it still existed. The same machines that we used in Frankenstein were then used in Young Frankenstein, which, if you didn't know, is directed by Mel Brooks. Giving him an on-screen credit, Ken, the on-screen credit he never actually got in any movie he ever did. Any movie that he touched with his equipment, he never got an on-screen credit for until Mel Brooks.
I can kind of understand it in the respect of in the 30s, it was so expensive to do credits because they were done on glass plates. There was like the rigmarole they had to go on. It wasn't like now where you type it in a computer and you can make it fucking scroll, or you just write it on a bit of paper. No, this was all done on glass plates that are taken away, and then there's a scene behind the glass plates, and then there's another glass plate with another load of writing on.
It might not have been done out of malice.
Yeah, it may well have been done out of expense because the amount, like when you look at Karloff, he's not even recognised in this movie. He has a question mark. So
he doesn't at the end, though. At the end, he is credited as Boris Karloff. At the beginning, he's not.
In some of them, he is. And when they went back, and I think they remastered it some time ago. When they remastered it, they decided to give him the credit at the end because everybody knew it was him anyway. So I think it got changed more so towards that side. I don't know how long it was, but
that makes sense. Also, Kiss went on to use Ken's machines.
Ace. I mean, that's not a plug of Ace really, because R.I.P.
Mr. Peace.
But not for Gene. Gene can get in the bin. But
walk in the sea for all I care. The Spirit of 76 tour, that's where they use the machine work for it, but they did have to actually drop it from the show because it was unpredictable and dangerous because it was built in 1931.
Not only that, they're basically Tesla coils, if I remember rightly. And you've got all that electrical equipment on stage. You're there with
It's live.
Freaking instruments, and you're putting on a Tesla coil in the middle of all of that. No. you.
Yeah. Yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, that is worthy of a factoid of all factoids, that one. Because I
Yeah.
love the fact that Mel Brooks is coming in and finding this equipment and going, shit, I'm going to use this for my movie.
Mm.
So I love that. Going back to James Whale, yes, him and Boris Karloff did not get on very well. He didn't like the attention that because Karloff in this movie production, because he's such a fucking
Present.
lovely person,
Mm.
everyone got on with him.
Yeah.
And
As
James
people
didn't
have seen
like
it's the back seat, the back behind the scenes photos that you see of him just sitting there drinking a cup of tea dressed as Frankenstein because he insisted
my
he
heart.
insisted the one thing he had on his rider was British tea.
Good on you. Good on you.
That
Good
was
on you,
it.
Boris.
He didn't want alcohol. He didn't want anything like that. He said, I don't want for anything. I don't even need my own trailer. I'll just turn up, and
Just give me a cup of Yorkshire tea.
I'll sit in Jack's chair and I'll sit and drink my tea. And I'm happy with that. And that's what he got. So
I can understand that. So yeah, he was jealous of the attention that Boris was getting through the production, and decided to take his revenge out on the actor, but it backfired on him because everyone ended up loving him even more, especially Colin Clive. The scene where Boris has to carry 6 foot, 154 pound Colin Clive up a flight of stairs. James Whale made him do it. How many times?
it says around, it just says numerous, dozens of times. There you go.
Dozens of times, yeah. So not a given number, but Colin Clive felt so bad for the treatment that Boris was going through in these takes that he even opted to get a dummy. I'll get a dummy. I will get something to replace this. This is not fair. And Boris was the one who turned around and went, "No, it's okay. I can do this." However, James Whale did fuck his back up for the rest of his life because of that.
Yeah, he had 3 ops on it or something, didn't he?
Yep, 3 major surgeries, and that was according to his historian, which is Gregory Mank. I'm so glad my dyslexia did not kick in right there.
Yeah, that would have been terrible.
That would have been really bad.
But the thing with James Whale was, I think to some degree he was thrown in at the deep end because Robert Florey was let go 2 weeks before they were due to start filming.
Yeah.
And so he steps in, Karloff gets the job 2 weeks before, out goes Lugosi, out goes Florey. However, they had penned the majority of the movie at that point, but they threw away nearly all of it except for 2 scenes. And I know one of the scenes they kept was the windmill scene, which is one of the most iconic scenes.
Yeah.
That was actually written and planned out before it was shot by Robert Florey. That was one of his scenes. So Whale takes the credit for that, and it ends up being one of the most iconic scenes in the whole movie, apart from obviously when he he's alive, but the windmill where he's up there with Henry. Christ, he's up there with Henry, and they're all down the bottom waving their pitchforks because he yeeted Maria in the river because he thought she could float like a flower. Bless him.
Oh God. Maria?
Yeah, it's weird. It's I think James was what you would call a 30s prima donna. He was very high maintenance.
Yes, yeah. And I don't want to shit all over his legacy, his memory, whatever that is. I don't want to, because I haven't done enough reading on James Whale to be able to have that kind of opinion. This is just directly based off what I know from this film, and I all I know is his death, and it wasn't very nice.
No, I do know a fair bit about him in the respect of that he was obviously, bear in mind at the times, it's 30s. He was a closeted homosexual. And well, this is the main narrative of what happened. And they said that he was mean, and he was mean because he couldn't come out. So he was catty as hell to everybody. He just turned into a mean man because he couldn't live his life the way he wanted to, which part of me completely understands.
Oh,
but then
yeah.
there's the part of me that goes, professionalism, sir. Professionalism.
Yeah, have some.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. See, I read the opposite, that he was a out and proud homosexual but it wasn't a case, it wasn't something that people discussed. So
Right.
if you knew him, you knew him. If you didn't, you didn't. He wasn't telling everyone, he wasn't going, hello, I am a homosexual here. He
So he
wasn't
didn't.
doing that.
So he didn't have a beard. So Elsa,
No,
like Elsa did.
no, like Elsa, no.
Right.
Well, Elsa was the bigot.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well. Yeah. Well, we're not. There's every chance Elsa.
yeah, could have been. We don't know. We don't know.
We're just keep making noises now. Meh, meh,
Meh. Mm.
meh.
But he didn't. He had a long-term partner. His long-term partner, I have his name right here. Lewis. Brilliant, Sam.
Well, I hope that's the case. I genuinely hope. Like I say, you
Yeah,
get
lived as an
so
openly
many.
gay man throughout his career, especially because he was in the British theatre and then in Hollywood, and he kept within his circles. So he kept with his own people. David Lewis was his lifetime partner, and they were together from 1930 to 1952. James Whale dies on the 29th of May, 1957. Oh, fucking hell, by suicide, by drowning himself in his own swimming pool.
That takes some doing.
That takes some guts.
That
I
that
know. That
takes some
takes,
doing.
yeah, that takes that, yeah. And he
Just
left us.
logistically as well. Like, not to get too maudlin, but logistically, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it is not. He left a suicide note, which Lewis withheld until shortly before his own death, decades later. Because the note was suppressed, the death was initially ruled accidental. The note read, "To all I love, do not grieve for me. My nerves are all shot, and for the last year I have been in agony day and night, except when I sleep with sleeping pills, and any peace I have by day is when I am drugged by pills. I've had a wonderful life, but it's over, and my nerves get worse, and I'm afraid they will have to take me away. So please forgive me, all those I love, and may God forgive me too, but I cannot bear the agony, and it is best for everyone this way. The future is not just old and illness and pain. Goodbye, and thank you for all your love. I must have peace, and this is the only way." And was his note. He was then cremated. Was interred in the Columbarium of Memory at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale. His date of birth is actually incorrect because he
Right.
lied so much about his age.
He did.
Nobody actually knew what his actual date of birth was. It's down as 1893. There are some arguments that is not right.
No, because he technically was born here, wasn't he?
Yes, he's English.
Yeah, so he was born here and then he became a full-time resident of the US, and he was obviously buried there as well. But yeah, I hope he got to live his life in a way at some point that where he could be happy.
Yeah.
Because I can't even put myself in the shoes of someone living a life that is a lie
Oh,
now,
good God, no.
let alone the 30s version of that, which would be 20 more layers of shit on top of whatever anybody else would experience now.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly I hope he got to have some part of happiness in his life.
I really hope so. So because James is openly homosexual, a lot of people within the LGBTQ community then start looking at Frankenstein as this gateway into homosexuality and the parallels between it, the identification in it. David Lewis had to come out and say, not the case. You are looking way too deep into this. This is not the case. When it came to James and his work, it had nothing to do about him. It was the art. He lived and worked for the art form. And oh my God, I'm going to cough. And I'm making such a good point.
He was just
Thank
incredibly
you.
proud. I know that was one of he says it's one of his best characteristics and his worst characteristics, James Whale. He was a proud man. And he liked to consistently prove that he could do it if everybody thought he couldn't. He'd go out his way out of spite and hatred to prove everybody wrong.
Yep, pretty much. Sorry, I'm gonna have to take my inhaler. Oh my God. Yeah. So hey, my notes have just gone. The yeah, his partner rejects the idea that this is he was not a gay artist. He
Mhm.
was just a artist. I'm
That
going to
happened
turn
to
around
be
while I
gay.
take my
Yeah.
inhaler.
I did hear that James, desperately wanted somebody else instead of May to play Elizabeth.
No, the studio, Carl Lemley Jr. wanted somebody else. James
No.
wanted her because he
See,
worked with her on the last Western movie he did.
well, see, this is where it gets. This is what I'm saying. We've had nearly 100 years for these stories to get changed, chopped,
Oh yeah,
be put across thousands of different like news feeds. But I read one that said that James specifically wanted Betty Davis to
other
play,
way around.
but Carl Lemley said she wasn't attractive. Carl Lemley
No,
Jr. said he didn't want her because she wasn't attractive. That's
no,
what I've got
and
here.
that's so weird because I've read the complete opposite. So Carl Lemley Jr. had said, "I want Betty Davis." James Whale said she's too sexy, and that was another. She was, I think, she was also meant to be in Dracula because he just wanted her in the movie,
Yeah.
in his movies, and everyone then turned around and went, "You can't have Betty Davis in a movie. She's too sexy for what you want to do. This is dark. This is dingy." Me, on the other hand, had worked with him in the last Western that he did. And instantly, the minute he didn't even have to put her name on a list, she was just doing it. That's what I read anyway. It's so
Yeah.
weird how like the stories, even like 100 years later, cannot be like clear.
That's what I mean. And this is
Oh,
one, this next one, I hope is real because it gives us all some vindication to anyone else who thought that they were being smart, funny. Oh, as a matter of fact, I'm a purist, right? I would
well,
like,
actually.
well, actually, yeah, to all you well, actually people, I would like to make something very clear. Apparently,
Mm.
when Peggy Webling and John L. Balderson wrote a version of the play in the 20s and 30s, the monster is actually referred to as Frankenstein on a number of occasions by various characters during the play. So, and just Frankenstein, not Frankenstein's monster. Okay.
Mhm.
So when we all refer to him as Frank, if that is true, we were right. So you don't come at us and say, actually, it's Frankenstein's monster. According to the book, maybe, but it's there in black and white. And I'm going to choose to believe it.
I love that. No, I love that. Well, actually,
Well,
um,
actually,
I did read about that, that the monster was referred to as Frankenstein. Um, just to go back to Karloff. Oh, actually, did I finish on Colin? Did I do it? Yeah,
Colin's
yeah.
life was so sad as well. It was another one.
I didn't actually get, do you know, I started reading about Colin Clive, and didn't get it. I didn't get it. I was like, "Ah, I'm not getting you, mate. I'm not." So I didn't actually read a lot about him. The other guy, what's his name? Oh, what's his
Right,
name?
Fry?
Oh my God, that man. That man is absolutely incredible. Dwight Fry plays Fritz,
Yes, he
Henry's
does. Which is
assistant.
the Igor character or
Yeah.
Igor, depending on.
He's also in Bride of Frankenstein, isn't he?
He's also in Dracula.
Yes, he is. That's where you see how amazing Dwight Fry actually is in
Dracula.
Dracula. Yeah.
Because he plays the solicitor. He plays. Is it Harker? I don't know if he's
Well,
called.
I don't know
Oh,
if that's what he's called.
I don't think he's
It
called
wasn't
that
in
in
two
that.
years ago we did that.
I know.
But yeah, he was a beautiful, beautiful man.
He was.
Beautiful looking man. Um, sadly died really young.
He did. He didn't last long after these movies, if I remember right.
No, he died in 1943 of a heart attack. He was only 44 years old and he was literally on a bus going to Hollywood. That was it. That's so
Living
sad.
life of excess and all that.
It's amazing, you know, when you like, especially when I spend so much time in the 20s to the 50s, and the deaths of these people, you're like, oh my God, how much did you actually do in order to damage your body so badly?
But modern medicine, I mean, you look at it now, it's something that they would have died of in the 30s, 40s, 50s. We just give them a pill for now and they're fine.
That is so true. So I watched a video of presidents and their deaths, going from George Washington right the way up to what you would class as where modern day medicine starts to kick
Right.
in. And the deaths of these presidents was like, they literally would have survived from a bit of insulin, like, or a paracetamol. Do you know what I mean? It was something so mundane as that, or antibiotics, and they would have survived. It was crazy.
Well, people still don't really know. I mean, if you're into true crime, you would know. DNA wasn't even really used in the finding of criminals until the late 90s, and it was even in its infancy then. So you're
It
talking.
was the OJ trial that it really kind of like started to take shape as DNA
And
testing.
exactly. And that was early 90s. And
Mhm.
then it became, like I say, infancy, and they were testing and trialing it. But that's my point. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
So considering we use it in every trial these days, yes, DNA evidence, blah, 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 that proves whether you are guilty or not guilty of doing something.
Yeah.
So, and that's maybe 30 years old.
Yeah, it absolutely nuts. Dwight Fry is actually buried in Glendale's Forest Lawn Memorial,
Mm-hmm.
which I think I just said earlier is where.
James's.
Yes. Yeah, so 44 years old. But yeah, he was in The Invisible Man. He was in The Vampire Bat, the Maltese Falcon, which I
Yeah.
did for the Nerdy Up North podcast, which blows my mind that I actually have done that as an episode. Yeah, it's he plays Renfield.
Yeah.
He's cast as Renfield in Todd Browning's 1931 Dracula.
I couldn't remember. It's been a while since we've done that one.
Dwight Fry is someone who you should. Oh God, yeah, it was a long time ago. Dwight Fry is someone who would be deemed as a horror icon,
Mm-hmm.
especially his facial expressions.
The
My
eyes.
goodness,
The eyes that man had.
Yeah,
They were.
yeah.
You had so much empathy with him as Renfield, but then you had a totally different kind of empathy with him. But then you also disliked him as
I hated him in
Fritz,
this. I
because
hated him.
at the beginning when he's like, "Shut up, you're an idiot," you've got Henry telling him he's practically worthless on every occasion. He's not doing anything right, and he bumbles, and he drops the good brain and picks up the criminal brain, because he's just got to take back something, and he didn't read the label, he just took it back. But then when he starts antagonizing Frankenstein,
That's what makes me really upset about this film.
because that's the thing that gets me, right? He starts waving the torch at him, and he can see it's pissing him off, and he's like, don't do it, don't do it. And even like Henry stands there and he goes, get away from him, stop it. And then bloody Fritz is going at him even more with it. And I was just, what is occurring here?
Yeah, I watched. So I don't think I've ever seen Frankenstein in its entirety until, oh my God, few years ago now, and I sat and watched it, and I couldn't believe how upset I was getting and so angry when this poor creature did absolutely nothing wrong. He never asked to come into this world. And when he did and decided to even dare move, he was punished for it, and it broke my heart. So when when we were going to do this, I couldn't watch it again. It's honestly too upsetting for us to actually watch it again, because I know Boris Karloff much better now than what I did when I watched it then. I think it would hurt even more today. Somebody who did turn down this role because there was another person on the table to play this part before Boris was given the role. The matriarch of one of the biggest Hollywood family names, Mr. John Carradine.
Yeah.
Carradine is, to be honest, wouldn't have been too bad because he is a tall man. He was very. If you've seen The Burbs, the policeman at the end, the old man policeman, that's John Carradine. He is the dad of all the Carradines.
Yeah. So
David,
thing
Keith.
like Kill Bill.
Yeah.
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 And many others.
He would have, but he was considered too highly trained.
I get that.
I think they wanted someone to mold.
I also think that maybe when they say highly trained, reading between the lines, he wouldn't have played it innocently. because
Carradine's a bit of a villain face. Like he's got such a character face, but it's sharp.
but like I think that's the beauty of hiring Karloff, because he was known, but he wasn't well known.
No.
And he had an ability. I think it was that whole, he was a tall man, and they put him in the asphalt boots, which then they were like 13 pounds each or something. They were almost a stone each, these things weighed. That's why you hear him shuffling and scraping, because he could just about
Can't pick his feet up.
They padded him out. I think they said that the full costume, including the boots, weighed around 40 something pounds.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's carrying four and a bit stone, or around about 4 stone heavy, like clamped around you at all times. No, thank you.
Hey, no. I friggin' lost it last year. I don't want it back.
But like,
I think we talked a bit in detail about the makeup and such on the Jack Pierce episode. We did quite a bit of talk on the makeup side.
Yeah, it's the whole thing where like people get very, very confused. It's a black and white movie. Why do we always look at Frankenstein as being green? Because that's how black and white movies work. If you ever, and I know we've brought this up before, if you look at the Addams Family, the black and white TV show, when you see photos of it now and they've restored the color, you'll see most of it is pink, because that's how the greys and the blacks stood out better. You know, they used harsher greens on Frankenstein to show the deader tissue instead of going to black, because black didn't look good. So they used shades of green, shades of grey, blue. So when you actually see Karloff as Frankenstein with the color restored, you'll always see him being greeny blue, grey.
Yeah. They're trying to stay away from the silent era. So they're trying to make, because films in the silent era, if it's black, it's black. It's just it was just black. They didn't make any changes. You can notice in silent movies, sepia tone is quite a heavy use, because it's the only way that they could turn the color up, and it just becomes that orangey kind of color, but black is black on there. And they're trying to step away with these movies from that. So they're using different techniques and different colors to contrast with the camera. Alfred Hitchcock does it brilliantly in Psycho, especially with the shower scene. A lot of that is the coloration. Yeah, is it's not red, because red ain't gonna show, especially blood red. It's not gonna look and have the same effect as what it would. Yeah, even the thing is with them, even with Technicolor, they still struggled with colouring in that too. Dorothy's dress, the gingham dress, isn't actually blue at all. The shirt is actually pink, because they couldn't get it to the white was too white.
Yeah.
And it was like it disappears, so they had to make it a pink shirt. Yeah, I think our gingham dress is blue, but I think it's the white. There's something, so there's something, even Technicolor had to make changes in order to adapt. That was no different. I'm gonna cough again.
I know they used a lot of like dark blues instead of blacks, and they used like yeah, it was like this weird thing when Technicolor came in, because bear in mind, I think Wizard of Oz was about 2 years after this, was 33.
Yeah.
So, oh God, how about that from memory? So yeah, technically they were almost there for this film, almost there. But again, we know Universal was in its infancy here.
Yeah, this is just the starting point.
Yeah, the Lemleys didn't have a great deal of money. They had money and enough to get them to certain places where they produced certain films. Like, as you well know, I think Lemley was The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, let me say yes and find out for you, because senior, yeah, because junior only takes over
towards
now.
Coming
it's
on
literally
now.
It's on the back of because when Dan was right, the Lemleys lost so much money, but Dracula gave them enough to get them forward. To move forward, and especially with Frankenstein. And it was Junior who said, "Dad, let me do this. Let me take
Trust
this
me."
on." Yeah, and he did. They were a very, very tight family. I'd love to learn more about the Lemleys. Legacy.
Because he definitely was
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
The Man Who Laughs.
Yeah.
Dracula. and then Frankenstein is what he does with Junior, and then that's when Junior then takes it on
Yeah.
for himself, is
Yeah,
after
'cause
this.
he was quite a man of his later years when Universal was first, they bought it, because I know we've covered this before and I haven't got my notes on this, so I do apologize, but I can't remember if they bought Universal or they invented Universal.
I think they bought it. It was
Yeah, it was an existing thing and they
Mhm.
turned it into what you see today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, it was a oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I'm reading, I'm trying to glance over it. And it's it began buying Nickelodeons
Yeah.
and then eventually expanded into film distribution. And then he started an independent production company, which is Moving Pictures Company, IMP, which is then later renamed as Universal Studios. So yes, technically he does create Universal Studios, but it's on the back of Moving Pictures Company that
Right.
he does that from. Astute businessman from all accounts. Incredibly lovely family from what I have read. He's a Holocaust survivor. It's just the lives of the Lemleys is very impressive. Sad downfall for business wise, not family.
I
Their
was going to say
business.
they lost it all, didn't they? I remember they lost.
They did. Yeah, they did. They have an impressive plot. It's the home of Peace Cemetery in Beverly Hills, California. Impressed. The Lemleys are all together in their own little column. Oh my God. You can't class it as a mausoleum because it's not outside and it's within a hallway.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think it's a columbarium. I think. I'll be impressed if I'm right with that, by the way, with how much Hollywood Graveyard I watch. But yeah, they're all together. That's all of them as well. Even I think Carl is there too. Yeah, very interesting family. Before I start to wrap this up, I've got one thing that made my heart absolutely melt. We mentioned earlier about the censorship over the name, over the whole blasphemy, being gods and that. The scene with Marilyn Harris, who played the 7-year-old Maria, that scene had to be cut and taped so many times for the censorship guy to come in because it's chucking a child in water, basically. Yeah. It's killing it. It's yeeting a child into the water. So the censorship had to come in. What the studio was really worried about, the Lemleys particular, was Maria being scared.
Yeah.
They didn't want her to be scared. They were very cautious of the fact that a little girl was going to be standing with this monster, and they wanted to make sure that he was seen around the set so she could see him and it wouldn't be too much of a shock. They were taking a car to location when she ran up to him while he was in full makeup, took his hand and said, "May I drive with you?" And he looked at her and just went, "Would you, darling?" And they sat hand in hand while driving to location. Isn't that just lovely?
Well, this is the thing about that as well, because didn't they use the same girl to play a different part in The Bride of Frankenstein?
Yes. I remember discussing that when we did The Bride because she didn't get ill. Was it her or was it Carla?
Was she the
No,
same?
she was a ballerina.
That was it. So she played a different character.
But it was the same
It
girl.
was the same girl. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember something about that.
I do remember that as well. Her name was Marilyn Harris. Was it not? No, it wasn't. It was her. Marilyn Harris. Oh my gosh, she died in 1990. What an age.
Because I know
Where is she?
when they film the scene where they're sitting there and they're testing the water with the flowers, and she's going, "Look, I can make it float," and she throws it in, and he's looking there, and then she gives him some, and he copies her, and then he's like, he runs out of his flowers, and he takes one look at her, and he's like, "Oh, she'll float," and he throws her in. But the way that they got around the censorship was you don't see her drowning. He stands in front, he blocks that shot, so you see him throw her, and you hear her say, "I'm scared, you're hurting me," and then he throws her in, and then he stands, blocks the shot, You see the water splashing, but you don't see her drowning, and you
No.
see him realize that she doesn't float, and you just it sort of zooms up to half his body, so you don't see the water anymore, and you just see
The
him panic and run. So
yeah.
you literally, the only thing you see to think that Maria's definitely dead is when the father's carrying her and she's limp in his arms.
So that's what we see
Mm,
as modern day viewers in this movie. This movie was restored in 1980 to what we have today. You didn't see that at
right.
all. You didn't see any of that. That's how they had to take it out. She is definitely the little girl in the Bride of Frankenstein. She is just credited as girl. They just said I think I remember us saying that she was a very sweet child to have on set.
Yeah, we knew that her and Karloff got on really, really well.
I just love that. May I drive with you?
It's very
Would you,
pleasant.
darling? Oh, I can just imagine it. Yeah. Um, I don't have anything. Oh, hang on. While preparing to film the scene where the monster attacks Elizabeth, May Clark admitted to Boris Karloff that she was worried when she saw him in full makeup coming towards her, she might be really frightened. Karloff told her that throughout the scene, he would wiggle his pinky finger out of sight of the camera, so despite the horrific makeup she was seeing, she will always know that her friend, Boris, was behind it. Again, how much of a sweetheart is this man?
But then, like, trying to put on the hat of someone who's never seen anything like that,
Mm-mm.
you have to remember no one has seen anything like that.
No,
And I can't imagine what that feels like now, as someone
no,
who's been so exposed to so much information, have seen so much with my eyeballs.
yeah,
I can't think of what it would like if I could get in it. Like, you know, when we have that thing where you always ask someone if there was a movie you could go back and watch for the first time, what movie would it be?
hmm
That. I would like to see that because it is the first movie coined as a horror movie, even though it wasn't a horror movie, because the sheer innocence of
yeah,
life that you must have
yes,
had to see something like him so terrifying. Yet
yeah,
we just go, oh yeah, it's just bloke and
yeah.
makeup.
Yeah, we
You know,
don't. Yeah, and do you not think that? Do you not think having that mindset kind of changes your viewership on certain things, especially when we're doing older films, and you're like, shit, how on earth would that have looked in 1931 for audiences who have never experienced anything of the kind like we have?
yeah.
It's mind melting to think how that would actually be. It's like when I know I've said this before, it's like when I talk to my mother-in-law about her experience with The Exorcist, I'm like, yeah, my God, well, it's one of my favorite films of all time, and I absolutely love watching it. When she went to see it, she ended up leaving the cinema because she was that scared. She'd never witnessed anything like that before.
People were puking, passing out. You have full
The
on
church was
extras,
outside waiting for you.
yeah, to give you like exorcisms as you walked out to bless you, like
Ah,
that. To me, that level of innocence is something, without going too much down that road, it is something that we've lost as consumers.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, 100%.
I feel we've become so jaded. Like we were having this discussion just off camera about Stranger Things and the
Hmm.
finale, which came out yesterday to us, but 4 days to you guys. Just how people now have to have everything spelt out, everything laid out. There has to be a reason. There has to be I don't know, there has to be a something for it. There can't just
Yeah,
be like,
it has to be laid out for them. A death, having a significant death means that creates good television. When in actual fact, all it needs is really good fucking storytelling and a bit of imagination from yourself in order to put the pieces together. You come up with the conclusions
yeah,
of that story.
yeah,
I don't want to get into a rant, and I'm
no.
going to do that because
But
we've
I
just come
mean,
back.
that's my point being, with imagination,
Hmm.
as a purely innocent person that's untouched by horror or untouched by anything, like that you could possibly, the worst thing you could possibly imagine is getting stung by a bee or getting hit by a car
I'm
or
still scared
you know,
about being stung, you know.
but you know what I
Terrified.
mean, there was
Yeah,
not
yeah.
this level of like, oh, the monster under the bed,
Hmm.
and you see this, And,
Yeah.
and it's like the imagination runs wild then, because
Yeah.
you don't know if this is possible now. In your head, it's on the screen, therefore
It really is happening.
it could
And
happen in real life.
yeah.
Done.
Oh,
I
isn't
was
it
like,
sad? We'll
oh,
never feel like that again.
that's the thing. And I get annoyed with myself when I overanalyze some things. Some things deserve it, but then other things I get annoyed with myself because I can't just let it be. And then I have to
Yeah.
remind myself, well, actually,
This is good storytelling. Good
it is what, yeah,
creative
exactly.
storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think my opinion of, since doing this for nearly, God, in total, it's gonna be 5 years coming up. I know Monsters hasn't been going that long, but I have been doing podcasting for 5 years now. And it honestly, the my opinion on how I look at movies has completely shifted to how it was when I first started. And it's not that I was like constantly looking at shape of colors, because sometimes I can do that, but it was just base, like I was just looking at the basics. Now I'm looking at literally everything. Everything that comes with storytelling, whether that be the colors that I mean, you can't say that in this because there ain't no colors in it, but the colors that we use, the choices that were made in colors that we used, the scenery that was used, the cinematography that's there, the costumes, the makeup, the acting, the actual story that goes with it, everything. I have such a bit to do. I don't know where I was going with that. I really thought I was on one there.
I get what you're saying. You've got an affinity, a special kind of. There's a difference between overanalyzing a movie plot
Hmm.
and appreciating all the moving parts of the film.
Yeah.
And I think,
That's what I was trying to say.
yeah, as grown-ups now, we have more of an ability to understand that it takes a team of people to get that one person to look like that.
Yeah.
And even before those team of people have got that person to look like that, there's months of work to get from a lot of other people to even get a sketch done, to even
Hmm.
get the sketch then turned into a maquette, and then the maquette has to be turned into prosthetics, and then the prosthetics have to be applied, and that's just in the makeup section. The sets, dioramas are built. They
Yeah.
have to be approved. There is so much costumes, fabric choices. They have to get someone in to go, yes, we can use this fabric. People don't even understand the level of work. They go, oh, that stitching's wrong. They didn't do that stitching in 1872. We need to use a different type of stitching.
It's
That
true.
cord's wrong. We can't use that cord. People would know that that's cotton from
Yeah.
1980. So we have to use something that looks more like
That's
that.
a true story. The Queen
Hmm.
pulled up Downton Abbey. The Queen of England pulled up the costume department of Downton Abbey and went, "That is not a true that is not a true uniform of World War One," and they had to change it. They had to do some changes,
She spoketh.
and she knew it. Yeah, yes. I've loved diving into Frankenstein, but I think it's everything I already knew about it to start with. The
Yeah.
man, the myth, the legend that is Boris Karloff. We've talked about him so much with the other movies that we've done. This one was an easy one to dive into because Boris's name after this is then Boris Karloff will do it.
Hmm.
Oh no, wait, the Invisible Man? We want Boris Karloff. I mean, we don't end up
Nay.
getting him,
Yeah.
but because we get the legend that is Claude Rains. But it was a case of Boris literally had his pick of anything after this movie,
Hmm.
and he called a lot of shots. And I really would love to do something with his relationship with Bela Lugosi. I think that needs to be explained properly if you are following along with our love of monsters, because it does get cloudy, and a lot of people think that there's a fight there, and there really isn't. There really isn't. But have you, for the first time in 2026, got 1-star reviews?
I do. I
I don't know
do.
if I want to know
I,
this.
I did
I
not want
don't
to do
know if I want
this.
to know this.
Like, normally I can find funny ones. Now,
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
there really wasn't. And they broke my heart, these reviews, because
Oh
I
no!
have to say, I feel like the issue that I had with this was you had the majority of the people that went into this 1931 movie thinking it was going to be a play-by-play remake, not remake, a play-by-play version of Shelley's book, because it's such a everybody knows that Mary Shelley wrote it. Everybody knows that you know, it's an adaptation, but they don't use the word adaptation so much. So everybody went into this film, even modern day, up to as early as like this year, people were saying, "Oh, it's nothing like the book," and it's like, yeah, it's nothing like the book, but I mean, and that doesn't
Yeah.
make it a bad film.
Yeah, it
That
doesn't.
all
But
the
I'm
reviews
just
have
gonna
been
grab
painful.
I'm gonna grab Larry.
Yeah, the reviews
Mm.
have been painful. Okay, so on Letterboxd, Blazy Monster gave it half a star on the 2nd of January 2024. I could not get over the fact that this entire movie is in black and white. Two things I do not like in my movies are lack of colour and subtitles. I don't know where Blazy Monster is on the age spectrum, but I'm guessing that he isn't very familiar with the invention of Technicolor and what year that happened and how movies were not all bright new, brand new and shiny from the get-go.
I
So
can't even
there's not really much you can say to that one.
I can't even put together a sentence
No,
for that.
no. That's, I mean, I'm going to be honest. You be stupid, man. Okay.
Mm.
The second one
Mm-hmm.
is from Rotten Tomatoes and it got a splat, but this was left on the 9th of August 2016 and it was given 1 star. Well, a splat. And it says it is barely watchable, bad lighting, bore, bad, sounds horrid, acting, such a nasty film. And they did it anonymously. So
Nasty film.
I don't know what they watched. I don't feel like they watched the same movie as everybody else, but
Nasty film.
horrid
Sorry, Sam
acting.
Munster, your ears, if you are listening, will be ringing with my constantly saying the word film. Nasty film. Serious.
It's the barely watchable bit that gets me because it's easy. It's an easy watch.
It's not exactly the longest of movies to start with,
About an hour and 10, isn't it? It's
if
not.
that.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I am going to be a really old lady when I
Ugh.
say this,
Sorry,
but
Larry.
the invention of social media has taken people's attention spans to nothing, right? And I'm not saying it's not because the majority of people have they're
Whatever.
neurospicy these days, right? The majority of
Yeah.
people are neurospicy, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
But attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And the best way to get information out to people quickly is a 30-second video that you stick on TikTok. So you
Honestly.
stick a 30-second video person who's used to watching do scroll, scroll,
Yeah.
scroll, 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 and stick them in front of an hour and 10 minutes, it's going to feel like 72 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, an hour and 10 minutes might be too long for these people, but
I can't even watch a full TikTok video without going shaboring. Um,
you get what I
but
mean?
I appreciate classic movies.
Because you want to. And I
Yeah.
think that's an
Yeah, I
issue.
think that's the difference,
People,
isn't it?
they just think, oh, it's going to be, it's Frankenstein,
It's
you know.
black and white. Do you know, when we did the Maltese Falcon, I was shocked that I never thought in a million years I would ever do the Maltese Falcon on the Nerdy Up North podcast. But we did it as part of our classic era. And Paul didn't end up joining us on that episode. And it was going to be Chris. And I says, listen, Chris, you really don't have to watch this. It's totally fine. We'll do something else. And he went, no, I want to do this. And it was the first time him watching a black and white film. And he was a bit, I think if I remember, he was a bit apprehensive because it was a black and white film. But when he ended up watching it, he loved it. We had such an amazing conversation on the back of him watching this black and white film and him totally appreciating it. I don't understand how taking colour out of something makes it boring.
I think people are they have a need to be visually stimulated. Like there is this constant need to be occupied, like just to be stimulated by something. People can't just sit. They're classed as sociopaths or psychopaths now if they just sit and don't need this constant.
Yeah.
And I just think sometimes you need a rest. Like I have no issues with people wanting to be on their phones or needing that consistent information overload. I personally have to put my phone down sometimes. Like,
I have to.
I will not respond to messages. I sometimes go on in the morning and I'll preload all my posts for the day and they go out at certain times. So I will not technically be on my phone for hours. But then there's days where I am and I feel incredibly overwhelmed and I don't need all this information coming at me. So I think that I am, because I'm Gen X, we are one of those last generations that are able to survive without these things. I mean, elder millennials are also in that same sort of.
Oh, am I an elder?
That's what they're calling them now.
Right.
Elder millennials.
I tell you what gets me is when I see these elder emos on TikTok who are in their 20s and 30s, and I'm like, what the fuck does that make me in me 40s?
Grandma.
Oh no! Dan,
Yeah,
have you done the 666 degrees of Jake?
I have.
Are we sticking with the same theme as last year, or have we changed it?
There will be no more Adventures in Babysitting this season.
Oh,
I managed it for a whole year last year,
you
but I
did.
feel like it's time for a change in that
I
department.
don't even know how you started it, you know.
I
really can't remember.
Just started doing it. Just one of
Yeah.
those things, like a tangent thing.
And then it became a thing.
And yeah,
And now it is a thing.
it's a thing.
And
I
it's
do
your
apologise,
I
but I
don't
don't
ever
care.
apologize. What's the movie?
Not gonna say yet.
Okie dokie. Let's go.
Okay, so Mae Clarke played Elizabeth. In 1966, she starred in the legendary TV show Batman.
Adam West.
Yeah.
Oh.
Batman was played by Adam West.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Who voiced Captain Blasto in Rugrats. For 11 episodes, Debbie Reynolds voiced Lulu Pickles, but is most famous for giving birth to Carrie Fisher. Carrie has an uncredited role alongside George Lucas as couple kissing on bridge in Hook.
I did not know that. Okay.
In 1991's Hook, it had a huge cast, including Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams, but also Bob Hoskins, who played Smee. This leads me to our film. Bob Hoskins played Detective Eddie Valance in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yes.
I'm doing that thing, that influencer.
Yes, I am sticking to that's usually, look what I found in a thrift store. Who left this behind? Jesus Christ. Yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is where I'm going to see how long I can hold this one out for. So it might be all year, it might not be, but we'll see how long I can make this one work. And I'm
oh my god!
So yes.
Let's see. Oh my god.
Yep.
That is amazing.
And also,
sorry, I got really excited when you were like Batman. I was like, Adam West.
I could have made this a dance site shorter as well because Karloff played Hook in a play of Peter Pan.
Of course he did.
So I could have just gone Karloff,
Hook, Bob.
exactly. Done. But I didn't. I
No.
drank it a little bit. So
I like that. So we're sticking with, for now, as long as you can, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Because it is the best fucking film ever.
Totally fucking agree.
Wow. It's up there for me. It is one of my favorites.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I absolutely adore that film. My sister, on the other hand, has a lot of trauma that comes with it. The shoe used to scare the shit out of her. But my dad, for a charity football event, came dressed as Roger.
I know what you're going to say.
Came dressed as Roger Rabbit.
I thought you were going to say his Doom.
Oh my god, he could pull that off now. No, oh my god, imagine. Oh, that she would have been fucking traumatized. No, this is where Michaela used to have a deep fear of costumed people.
I'm with her. Yeah.
Until she went to Disney and like saw the magical side of it, which all she saw was, you know, what the Northeast could bring her, which was just pure terror. Yeah, my dad came as Roger Rabbit, full on costume with the big carrot thing like coming out of his head. Yeah, she was absolutely. We've got pictures of her sitting on my dad's knee in this costume and her just wailing at it. But no, Doom would have been mint.
I was just like, oh, I thought you were going to say, yeah, he came as
He's
Doom. I was thinking,
honestly,
oh my God.
oh, he is like the factor of most of my childhood trauma when it comes down to, you know, making me believe that I had a magic finger or my glowworm was real, you know, stuff of that nature. My dad was a great person and I have a very lovely relationship with my father. But he did like to wind us. He was a young dad and he did like to wind us up. But yeah, that was one of them. Next week.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember what we're going to do.
Next week, we are going to stick true to something that we really enjoyed last year, and we have done a lot of, but this decade put so many of these kind of movies out. It would be remiss not to do something from the 80s.
Last year we did Frankenhooker for the second episode.
And this year we are doing Night of the Creeps.
I just remembered as just before you said it.
Yeah. Let's do Night of the Creeps. I'm looking forward to this one because it's been many years before score and
many years ago
since I've seen this film, and I can just about remember some things, but it's going to be like watching it for the first time, I think.
Well, it's going to be like watching it for the first time because I've never seen it before. And I'm honestly, it's one of those where I've, for no other reason, just put off. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be interesting. Oh, we're back. Doesn't it feel nice? Oh, he knocked Claude Rains off. It's the way you looked.
She just nearly karate chop Claude Rains really off the wall then. I was like,
oh, sorry, audio people won't hear that. And if you are listening to us, thank you very much for listening to us. This episode actually goes up on a Monday on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel. It will be available for 10 o'clock for your viewing pleasure. But if you are listening, it will be available later on in the same day. Lucky you. Lucky you people. The links, I don't know where I'm at. The links for Bleading Marvelous, Monsters Up North, Nerdy Up North are where done?
They're down there.
Oh, you're gone all silver.
I'm
nice.
tin foil.
You already are. They're nice. Is that it?
Yeah.
Next week?
Night of the Creeps.
Well, where you can find us? Nerdy Up North YouTube channel.
Down there. Yeah.
Remember, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
She starts this every week. Means as she goes on, this is a tradition Sammy started. She always forgets that she said everything, and then she has to remind herself she said everything.
Doesn't sound right. Whoa, hey, if there's nothing else left to say goodbye, Dan.
In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be a god. Bye.
Stay spooky, everyone. Bye.